John Buccigross with us from SportsCenter Anchor College, hockey play-by-play voice. John, Roger Weiland, Chris Honorado up in Albany. Good morning.
Good morning.
Appreciate it. We had Barry Melrose on at 10:15, and appreciate a few minutes from you. Just kind of mourning the death of, I know, somebody you knew and really liked a heck of a lot, and that is Dave Strader, who passed away at the age of 62.
Yeah, Dave. When I got to ESPN in 1996, pretty much was just about the same time he came on board from calling the Red Wing games in Detroit. And obviously got to know him. The whole hockey family was like a lot of production crews at ESPN, whether they cover college football or college basketball or college football. They, you become like a family. And certainly seeing Dave on the road, and playing golf with him a couple times, and just always so bright and cheery. Then the last few years, just staying in touch. Just was always just a joy to be around, and a real professional to listen to and watch broadcast games, real attention to detail, explaining things very clearly. And and just like I said, just a prince of a man whenever you saw him, always upbeat, always supportive, no ego, and just a huge loss for ESPN. And once again, even though obviously he hasn't worked at ESPN for a few years, but from John Saunders and Stuart Scott and now Dave, it's been a tough few years.
John, Chris Honorado here with Roger as well. I shared this story with Barry Melrose, and we did it last night on our local NBC newscast. I met Dave for the first time 5 years ago at his Adirondack Hockey Hall of Fame induction, and there were a lot of important people in that room that day, and yet he spent time with me off camera telling great stories of his broadcasting career. Barry told a story about a Halloween party where Dave and his wife, Colleen, dressed up, and it was a memorable costume party that Dave went to. Is there a memory here this morning? I know difficult to do this on a day after Dave had passed, but is there a memory or a story that comes to mind for you that makes you smile on a difficult day?
Yeah, it's really just all the time being with him, and going out for beers after games, and during the Stanley Cup Finals and All-Star weekends, and playing golf with him and Darren Pang, and just always smiling, always just in a great mood. The mood was always good and always upbeat. Like I said, those are my favorite kind of people, where you never have to worry about the mood they're in, and they're always up, and they're always in a great frame of mind, and no worries, no stress. It's always just a great, lovely little exchange, whether it's small or little, or like I said, whether a 4-hour round of golf or whatever. So it was that was always great. And like I said, once ESPN lost hockey in 2004, obviously I didn't get to see him as much, very rarely, as a matter of fact, after since 2004. So it's just keeping in touch with text and then through Twitter, and so it was it's been a while, but just very similar personality to mine, and similar spirit, similar, close age group, and Darren Pang and Barry and Ray Ferraro, all of us just always had such a great time. You become very close.
ESPN's John Buccigross with us here on 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio and Big Board Sports, as we remember the great man that was Dave Strader. He was a good friend to our program here, always took the time during even the playoffs when we know he was exceptionally busy. But he admitted to us that he really didn't know too much about hockey when he jumped on in 1979 with the Adirondack Red Wings. He was more of a basketball guy, and even a few years in to his hockey broadcasting career, he thought, well, I'll eventually make it back to basketball. But he, of course, made his name in hockey. John, what did he do so well? How was he able to grasp what is a difficult sport to call play-by-play for?
Well, he's very observant, which is probably the most important skill you can have as a play-by-play guy, is to be ultra observant, to notice the little things, the small things, the flow, and so you're able to anticipate. And probably basketball has a flow and an anticipation level, which makes the best players the most fun to watch. That's why Larry Bird was always my all-time favorite basketball player, because he had the best anticipation. He knew where the game was going, and he was always 2 steps ahead. So he probably, for Dave, once he realized, okay, you just, as an announcer, sitting up here perched, and when I'm seeing the play, and most, the play goes in the same direction. The rink is rigid in how it's constructed, so the play is going to be pretty much the same all the time. There'll be some unique things that happen, but the flow is about the flow, and you can start to anticipate where people were going. Once you probably saw that anticipation, you probably took that from basketball. And knowing his observation and anticipation skills for hockey, I'm sure he would have been an amazing basketball announcer. And obviously, it's easy to announce basketball. It's going slower. There's fewer men to worry about, and you're closer. So, hockey being farther away and having more players on the ice, twice as many, and often from all different parts of the world to try to pronunciate pronounce and enunciate it. It's tough. So, but I'm sure once he realized that was his great skill, being observing, and the small details, and then anticipation.
Well, John, we appreciate you sharing the stories of Dave Strader. Before I let you go, just what were I know you were in the house for BU and Union. Of course, Union, one of our local teams that we follow very closely here. What was your impressions of that 4-1 final score in favor of BU?
That was great to get to Boston. The first college hockey game of the year, of the season, for both teams, and for the whole sport. There were 2 games on Saturday. Colgate also played. But, it was good to see BU. They're loaded with freshmen. Keith Buccigross on Brady on that team. He's a real force of a winger, and he'll be a high draft pick. He'll be a tough pick in the NHL draft. I wanted him out, but I think Union like what they see. They kept up with BU for most of the game. It was very close, and they were right there. They hit 2 or 3 posts. If those go in, they easily could have came away with a victory. So I think Union will have a good team this year in the ECAC. I think, obviously if they stay healthy and the right guys produce, I think you're going to see them make some noise. It'll be fun to watch. They were skating there with, the speed of BU was difficult at the beginning, but as the game went on, they got their wheels and they started moving, and I think Union will have a nice season this year.
John Buccigross, thanks for a few minutes here on Big Board Sports. We really appreciate your time, and I'm sure we'll talk to you down the road.
Anytime, boys. Thank you.